Okay. We're continuing on with our series looking at Ephesians 6, the armor of God. It's been a while since I've been here. Can't remember what all was going on. Had a good time week before last up in Brandenburg, I remember, with Mom and Dad. And the homecoming of church up in Brandenburg. And appreciate y'all allowing us to do that. And then also, thank you for Brother Tommy coming in and filling in for us, filling in for me. And we just had a good time up there with everything. And with Ephesians 6, we've been looking at, like I said, at the armor of God. And what does it mean for us? It's been about 3 weeks since we spoke on it. But the last time we did it, we looked at having the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness put on. The belt of truth was looking at the truth of the Bible. That's God is with us. He came to save us and die for us, and that is our truth. And then the breastplate of righteousness is something that is put on after we become Christians to help us remain righteous in Christ. And in verse 16, or 15 rather, I'm sorry, verse 15 we're picking up today. And having your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, and above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. This translation was from John Wesley, who is founder of Methodism, of Methodist Church today. And one of his endeavors was he translated the New Testament. And I just like the way this one read on those two verses. Back in verse 15, they talk about having your feet shod, or having boots put on. And the reason is, this is going to a military look again. If you have, like I've got on shoes that have a slick sole, they're not too good for standing up to somebody in a battle. Sometimes they talk about having shoes with hobnails in them, which is today what we would call cleats, or some type of extra stuff in the soles to help us grip and stand firm where we are. Now, what are we standing firm on? That's the promises of God, as we've seen, standing on the promises. And then these shoes are also supposed to help us to be ready to go anywhere in the world and speak the gospel. Now, this does not mean you're going to be going over to Africa or someplace. It means outside these doors. Any place outside the doors of the church is where we're supposed to be going to spread the gospel. And we're supposed to be doing it in a spirit of love or peace. In other words, we're not supposed to be going out and attacking the people or taking Bibles and hitting them over the head with it, saying, believe, believe. No, we're supposed to go out through our actions, talking to them, and as Dot pointed out talked to us a few weeks ago at the end of the service. At one of her jobs, there's a couple that used to usually get kind of fired up with their discussions of the Bible and stuff, and then there was another person that kind of didn't want to get involved with that, and they would go, her and Dot and this person would go off to the other place, but they would sit down and just have a quiet discussion. And he would come near believing and accepting what Dot said over what the other people said, because they would talk about it and discuss it in peace and not have arguments or anything like that. And that's what verse 15 is meaning. We be ready and present the gospel in peace and in love. Verse 16 is again another military image. The shield of faith. Our faith is what we believe. This also goes back to the belt of truth. If we don't believe in the truth, how can we have faith? And faith is an action verb. It is not something you can say you got or show, or it's one of these words that it takes action to demonstrate. If you go into a new building of some type, and there's chairs that you have never seen before, how do you know that chair is going to support you if you've never even sat in that style of chair before? You just have to go over and sit down and discover that it's going to support you. That is faith. That is a show of faith, because the chair you've never seen before, so you don't know if it was how it was constructed or anything. Even though it looked like it could support you, it may not have supported you. And you only did that by faith when you sat down. You sat down, it holds and supports you. You have faith that that chair will hold you from then on. The next thing you see, you know that it should still hold you. But talking here, the shield of faith, back in the military times, they had shields. They were usually about 2 foot, or about 4 foot, no, about 2.5, 3 foot wide, enough to cover the body, and they were about 4 foot tall, so that it would cover your, from the neck down to around your knees or someplace. And then there was leather stretched across. And they would soak those in water before they went into battle, so that if the enemy had shot an arrow that was lit on fire, the fiery darts he speaks about here, when it hits that shield, the wetness of the leather would extinguish the fire. And also that would help tighten up the leather, and it would cause the arrows to bounce off. And as we've seen this week, there are times we need the shield of faith. With all the happenings in Charlottesville and all the other riots that have gone on. People believing one way, saying that they're the right way, or another saying they're the right way. No, the right way is Jesus Christ and Jesus alone. And He is the one that we need to believe in and trust in. And we need to have our feet shod with boots or sandals with preparation of the gospel of peace. We are to be ready to go at any time and present the gospel, but we also need to be ready in case somebody fires a question at us that they're trying to trip us up or whatever, that it just bounces off of us and is extinguished. And that's the reason for the armor of God. And as I've stated in the previous sermons, this is all a metaphor. It's all symbolic imagery. You know, we don't physically have shoes or don't physically have a shield of faith, but we are supposed to have enough of our own faith that it is a shield for us and gives us the confidence in Jesus and to trust in Him that He will take and protect us and stay with us and carry out His promises through us. And He is, as we sing, we stand on the promises, and His promises are He will never leave nor forsake us. He is right there with us all the time. And so as we come to a close, this is kind of a short one again. I know I shouldn't apologize for that, but just getting out of practice and getting back into it. We need to be ready to go out, and even as we're out doing our daily lives, if you're planning on being out in the crowds tomorrow watching the eclipse, be ready to share the gospel. Be ready to maybe even use the eclipse to help explain Jesus, but do it in a way that is loving, peaceful, and not antagonistic or anything like that. And so as Mom and Dad get ready to come and have the invitation, if there is anybody here that would like to rededicate their life or come and join the church or even make a profession of faith, I'll be down here in front of you, in the front here, and we will talk and pray, or if you just want to give something up to God, more than welcome to come down here and kneel at the altar here and just pray between you and God. And that will just give it all to God. And so,
number 183.
183. And so as you come, just come and I'll be down here to receive you.